Hi everyone, Jon Mitchell here, Mayor of New Bedford, and this is another installment of the Mayor's Weekly Update. So let's start as we ordinarily do, and that is with a COVID update. So the good news is that we are coming down from the big surge in Omicron cases that we've been experiencing over the last few months. The average number of cases now is about 50 a day or so in the city, maybe a little bit lower than that over the last 5 or 6 days. That is a huge decline from the height of the surge in the beginning of January when we were averaging over 500 a day. So it's about a 90% drop, and so we're thrilled with that. But on the other hand, we are not in a position to declare the pandemic over. There's still a lot of people in the hospital, 23 at St. Luke's as we speak, even though that number has come down. But we've had a lot of deaths. In January, 60 New Bedford residents died of COVID. And since the beginning of February, we've had about another dozen or so. All of them, with one exception, was under-vaccinated. Either the person didn't have the original shots or had the original shots but was overdue for a booster. So it goes to show that the booster matters. We're going to continue to promote that. We have staff here in the city that are calling people whose booster shot is overdue, starting with the most elderly and going down from there. So if you get a call from the city, by all means, we want to do everything we can to make sure that you get the booster shot you need to protect yourself. So expect that to happen if you haven't had it. If you haven't had it yet, there's plenty of opportunities to go to the vaccination clinics throughout the city. We'll continue to hold those. And some people have asked about mask mandates. Some of the mask mandates around the country have been lifted. We have certain mask mandates in place in the city. One is in our schools, and the other is in our municipal buildings. We're taking a look at all that now to see what makes sense going forward, and so stay tuned on that front. In other news this week, you heard something about the so-called Innovators Charter School, which was an application for a 735 student school, grade 6 through 12 school that would be located here in New Bedford, but it would also draw students from the city of Fall River. The applicant group withdrew it this week. They did so after a considerable opposition, including from me. And the reason I opposed it was that I felt that it would divert funding away from the district schools and compromise the education of the vast majority of students who would remain in district schools. So I'm grateful for all of those who spoke up about it, teachers, parents, and many others, elected officials, so that their voices could be heard in Boston. All too many times when we have these kinds of issues come up, we do not get the reception we need and we deserve, frankly, in places of authority in Boston, and this was one of those exceptions. And so we really are grateful that this is not going forward. I will say, though, that it's unfortunate that something like this had to be so divisive. It would have worked better had the group come forward and tried to work with the city to understand how they might support the education of the students in New Bedford, rather than just showing up and saying, we're going forward with this, whether you like it or not. I don't think that's the way to operate. And so I say to anybody who wants to pitch in and help one way or the other with the education system in the city, we're game for it. Work with us, and we will together be able to make progress as we have over the last several years in our school district. The last thing I just want to say is I want to thank everyone who worked on the snowstorm last week. It was a lot of snow, an awful lot of snow, and as we said, even before the storm arrived, it would take some time to remove the snow, and that folks had to be patient with it. I appreciate the patience that the public exhibited in the wake of the storm, but I also want to thank especially the plow drivers who were up for as much as 24 hours and longer getting the job done. Great work, and look, it's never perfect. It's just a lot of snow. We have very narrow streets in the city, so there aren't a lot of places to put the snow. So on balance, it was a great job, and I'm grateful for that. With that, this has been the Mayor's Weekly Update. I'll see you next week.
My father instilled in me the commitment to hard work. He came to this country from Michoacan as a farm worker. My mother and my father had COVID early on. In order to stay safe and be around our players and my family, I took the vaccine. An hour after, I got a workout in. I may not be anybody in this world, but when people have an interaction with me, I provide my best. Maya is 5 years old. We coach her. Others are important. Believe in health and loving other people. That's what we do.